culture as a big encompassing concept, including lifestyle, forms of cultural production, values, beliefs, culture in the broad sense. And it incorporates sports, education, science, food, to conventional forms of artistic expression. And it also includes a reinvention of the riverside. Right? You see the photo here, making the riverside very friendly. And reinventing the warehouses into big exhibition centers. Now, what are the problems? After a whole few years of preparation and a whole year of these programs, what problems do we see from the Glasgow model? Minimal urban redevelopment, minimal demolition, adaptive reuse of old city center. Now, and a lot of software, very little hardware. It sounds like it should be the model Hong Kong should look for. And these are the negative effects that we need to prevent from happening. Now, the one thing is it failed to relate to the local citizens. The myth they create about Glasgow as a city of culture and contemporary arts is a little exaggerated. And the myth about it as a shipyard and river, a culture, second city of empire, is also a little exaggerated. And the local people find it very uncomfortable in identifying with this mythology. And it leads to an ambiguous local reaction. And also, although there are a lot of programs, the tickets are so expensive, it's prohibitive in terms of entrance fees. So, the effect was, after all the visitors left, the good effects were very short-lived. The opportunity to link cultural development to urban regeneration actually was missed. And the pure economic vision of using culture to do this led to short-lived results. Why? It has a lot of software, but wrong kind of software. Okay. It has little cultural policy, long-term cultural policy development. The development of, it does not have good long-term plans for development of cultural industries. It did not incubate talents. It did not spend money creating cultural infrastructure, which is overlooked. It only concentrates on fragile and unsustainable cultural tourism, which is the road Hong Kong is headed. So what it means is, what is wrong is not that it focuses on software. What is wrong is it focuses on the wrong kind of software. It emphasizes serving visitors, but not developing local talent and capabilities, and building a sustainable production base, and so forth, and infrastructure, cultural and physical. It is not linked to long-term job creation, training, and upgrading of production skills. And actually what happened is all these programs produced a very short-term increase in number of talents. And after the festival, no jobs, the Glasgow cultural talents left the city. They created a huge brain drain. So it's actually a pretty sad disaster. Now, so all these cities tell us something about what Hong Kong needs to be very careful about when we do these things. What are the good things to look for, the dangers to avoid. And the other example is Rotterdam and other port cities. And it was chosen the city of architecture this year, and we have to wait a few years before we can see the effects. And some of the good places to look for information is the Rotterdam Tourist Board and the Rotterdam Port Promotion Council, which are the two organizations mainly in charge of promoting Rotterdam as a city of architecture. Let's compare Rotterdam and Hong Kong. Rotterdam is the extreme opposite. The aim of the city policy for the past 40 years is to transform the city center into a real public space. And the city has a consensus, a kind of ethical conviction, that active public life stimulates personal development and is constitutive of an urban version of good life. And they think that the role of the strain of their architecture, the role of architecture and design of public space is crucial in promoting this value of the city. And today's Rotterdam showpiece public spaces are all designed and conceptualized way before in the 1970s. So it took them gradual, slow planning and development over 40 years, which is what the government is trying to say. West Kowloon Cultural District should be built over 30-something to 50 years. But they do it, most of the things in the first 10 years. Whereas in Rotterdam, they plan ahead, way further ahead. But they do not build so fast because you do not have the audience and the capacity to use so much hardware. And if you build it all at once. So they did it slowly, over 40 years. And they also learn from other cities. They draw from waterfront developments in Toronto, Baltimore, and Boston. But these are strategies that deal with US problems. They borrow models from the United States and apply it to Rotterdam, and we will see the problems coming. Because they use strategies from the United States without doing enough research on what Rotterdam actually needs. And these are strategies that deal with US problems, which are unlike the Dutch problems. And the Dutch city of Rotterdam is culturally a lot more rich than Boston and Baltimore. So let's see what this mismatch is going to show. And Rotterdam looked at the problem pretty much like how Hong Kong looks at the problem now. Why do we need to do all these developments? Because there is intercity competition under globalization. And this was the slogan 40 years ago. It has been the slogan around the world for 40 years. It is nothing new. And all these regeneration strategies attempt to bring prosperity back to the old port by targeting the new middle class, by trying to attract the middle class. Council statement, the mission statement of the city, would actually say, we are now changing from a functionalist city to a participatory city. Amazing. And then later on, they say to be participatory is not enough. We need to be modernist. We need to be sleek, minimal, so on and so forth. Very interesting. And they actually changed the theory of the city from the Le Corbusier rational city as a kind of business and shopping district to, because the functional city, the Le Corbusier rational city as business and shopping malls and shopping districts, was so dissatisfied, created a lot of dissatisfaction among the middle class because of it is over-rigid, too rational, too organized, and boring public space. Exactly like Hong Kong Central. Exactly like Hong Kong's new business districts. Exactly like Admiralty. Over-rigid, rational, organized, sanitized, boring public space, but very efficient business and shopping districts. This kind of environment created a lot of unhappiness, a lower quality of life for the middle class, and they all moved out to the suburbs. They all moved to Clearwater Bay Avenue. So, what the city thinks is people are looking for a different set of values. We don't want the functionalist city anymore. People are rediscovering the sense of the individual, to be individual and unique, to have character. Right? They want community sense. They want civic culture.